Alright everybody, it's going to be a quick video today. How to change the transmission fluid on a Saab 9000. This is a 9000 Turbo 1988, but I believe it's very similar all the way up through for a while for the automatics. So with the automatics, you've got the transmission there. That is your dipstick, and that's actually where I'm going to refill at. I believe there's another refill port back here underneath, but I'm not going to use that. It's too much to get to. And I've got a funnel that's small enough that fits right on that dipstick tube. So let's get started. We got the car up in the air. Just enough to get down here. Your drain plug. And this one is more of a drain. I don't even know what you call it. Basically this round thing with 3 bolts is how you get that apart. So we're going to work on that for a second. Alright, so here's a bottom view of this plate. This is basically a drain plate, I guess you would call it. What I'm going to do is get these bolts loose. They were a little hard to get loose, so I wanted to show you how I did that. For starters, they're typically gummed up, so if you take a tool like this, little pick, and just kind of work your way around inside, pull all the dirt loose that you can, and then when you're done with that, take some spray cleaner and just shoot it to knock out any of the crud in these openings. I did that before, so now my tool will actually fit in here. And what you're using is a Torx like this, and this one happens to be a T27, and it fits right in. Now if for some reason these are too tight, you do not want to strip them. So what you actually want to do is check to see how tight they are. If they'll break loose easy, great. But if they don't, like that one broke easy, if one of them doesn't, the bolts are actually kind of thick, which is a good thing. I kind of wish they would have just used regular bolts, you know, but being European, they wanted to be different. So, but the nice part is about these bolts is they're actually thick enough that you can get a pair of pliers on them, specifically a set of channel locks, and turn them. So what we'll do, set the channel locks, and of course I let them sit, so give me just a second here. Okay, so yeah, what you'll actually do, got the pliers here. Doing this video by hand, so obviously that's why the camera's not steady. So you got these bolts, each one of them. You'll actually set your pliers to the right thickness. Clamp them on the bolt. Don't overdo it though, just tighten them enough to where they don't actually strip things. Alright, I'm going to flip the camera around so you can see. Alright, so basically I'm adjusting the pliers to where they can be gripping the bolt with just enough bite not to damage the bolt, and then just break it loose. After you get them broke loose, you can use your Torx bit. But I do not advise putting a lot of torque on there with a Torx bit trying to break them loose. If you do and you strip them, then it's a pain in the butt because you have to tighten them with the Torx. And if you strip that, you really can't tighten them with the Torx. You got to try to tighten them with the pliers, and it's a pain. So at this point, I've broken one loose. We're going to go ahead and break the other 2 loose. This is actually kind of like a cup that reaches up inside there, and there's actually an O-ring around it. The O-ring holds really nice, and it's a pretty heavy O-ring, so that one broke loose easy. I just did an oil change on this, so they should. I don't over tighten my stuff, so. Alright, they're all nice and loose, so they're still a little hot too. Another thing is you do want to drive the car, get the fluid warmed up, knock all the loose dirt up off the bottom, and get it suspended in the fluid. And most of it will be filtered, but basically any of the fines that won't filter will get knocked loose and suspended in the oil, so that you can get the oil clean, all the oil dumped, and get all that fine out of there. So I'm going to take these bolts loose. The cup will actually hold pretty good inside there. It's a tight fit. So put the bolts over here. It's honestly one of the nicest transmission drain plug setups I've seen yet. Pretty easy to deal with. The big old bolts, you can just put a pair of pliers on, the locking pliers, so that you can get it broken loose. And instead of a big old plug, which could be, you know, seized in there or stripped, and then you got problems like having to drill it out. All right, we got a towel here. Keep the towel handy because it's going to be a mess. And we're going to switch angles. Yes, that's what my forehead looks like. Not much hair there, is there? Now, to avoid getting burnt, you're better off getting this thing over top of your drain, or excuse me, getting this thing centered over top of your bucket, and just use a screwdriver or something to knock that loose. Let it fall in there. Don't worry about making a big mess because you don't want to get burnt. That part would suck. So I'm just going to let it fall in like that. You'll hear some whistling. Fluid actually looks pretty good, so I'm tickled to see that. It was terrible the other night. It was really gross. It looked like it hadn't been done in 100,000, 150,000 miles. Car's got 178 on it now. 176, excuse me. Nice car, really good shape. And just trying to update it. Get rid of the old nasty fluid. Just did the oil change yesterday. I evacuated the power steering and redid it, and also evacuated the brakes and redid those. So at this point, the only thing left to do is radiator fluid and thermostat. But this thing holds 2 gallons roughly. It's like 1.9 or something like that of fluid. Now you're only going to lose about 1.5 gallons at a drain because there's going to be some left in the torque converter, which is why you have to do 2 changes, because the first change will flush out what's in the torque converter. Second change, you'll get rid of that basically 3/4 of it again. So now you're down to just a tiny bit of the old fluid left. You could do 3 changes if you wanted to really be anal, but you don't have to be that anal retentive. You can just do 2 changes and you're good to go. So once all the fluid comes out, like I said, it's going to take a while. There is a filter that we will grab and pull out of there as well. So we're just letting her finish up. It's nice and clean looking. It does call for Dexron 2 transmission fluid, so you gotta be pretty specific about it with these cars. I've heard that you do not want to be changing over to anything different, any kind of petroleum based. You need to stick with the Dexron 2, which is mineral oil based. But yeah, that's a different argument for a different day. So do your homework, check out the blogs for Saabs, and just get to know your car. There's a lot of guys out there that have already done this. A lot of guys that are actually pretty professional. They've already put the information online. All you got to do is go do a few searches, get on a few chats, and look and see what people have posted, because it's much easier to learn from others that have already learned the hard way and learn from others that actually are professionals and know what they're doing, versus going fast and breaking things yourself. So occasionally I do that anyways, but all right, we got it to the point now where I can get the camera in here and show you where the filter's at. It's easy. You'll love this. So we're pushing this out of the way a little bit. It'll still catch enough. The filter is actually, get a little farther here. That's the filter, that black thing right there. A little hard to see. Right in the middle. See if we can get that in there. You can probably see there are 3 little nubs that stick down, and what I'm going to do is grab one of those nubs with my pliers gently and just rock back and forth until that falls out. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, I got the camera at just the right angle so you can actually see those 3 nubs right there. They're little plastic, basically nubs that stick down that keep the filter from popping out. The cup, when it goes up in there, it rests against those to keep that filter seated up there in there firmly. The filter has an O-ring around the outer edge of it that just basically kind of locks it up in there. So what we're going to do is grab that with the pliers and jiggle it until it comes out. Just need to grab one of them. That's probably a little too loose. Let's see. So you gonna let me grab one? Feels a little loose. Alright, let's get in here and get one. Yeah, I think I got a hold of one, but yeah, it's a little loose. So give it a little wiggle, pulling down, and off she goes. That might just fuck up the phone. Hang on a second here. I just poured transmission fluid on the camera and the earphone. So that's great. Probably just got really quiet, didn't it? Alright, here is the filter. It is just basically a little really fine what do you call it? The filter media is basically just a piece of metal, really finely perforated. There's actually two layers, an inner and an outer. So all I'm going to do is just spray some cleaner and knock out any of the crud that's inside the filter. That's all it is right there. There's the front of it. So yeah, all you do is just hose it down with some cleaner. I've already done that, so I'm just going to look for anything and get it clean real quick, and I'll turn the camera off, and then we'll just reinsert this. Okay, just to show you, get a little bit of daylight. The filter clearly doing its job. There you go. That is actually dirt that's caught in the middle. It's not wanting to stay focused. There we go. Yeah, that's all dirt. That's all material that the filter has caught inside. That's what you want to clean out. That's a lot, actually. That's a pretty decent amount. So I'm glad I'm doing another change. A lot of old material that got knocked loose. So yeah, what we'll do is just hose it all the way around the outside and hose it all the way around the inside. And all of the dirt will fall back down through the bottom there. So take care of that and I'll be back. Alright, so yeah, basically all you do, I'm going to put this one facing out toward the edge here, is just hose it down with a little bit of cleaner. Knock all the stuff out of it. And same thing on the inside, you're going to have to work your way around. You can see some of the dirt has not popped loose yet, so knock it on down. Just work our way around the inside to outside, knocking that dirt out of there. And when I say dirt, it's probably not dirt, probably bits of metal. Okay, I'm sure that was a terrible video. Probably didn't show you a daggone thing. But at least at this point, it looks pretty clean to me. Certainly good enough for now. It's not clogged, and that's all that matters. So we're going to stick that back in after it dries. And it should dry pretty quick because brake cleaner dries very fast. Alright, put you on pause. Alright, so we've got the filter all cleaned up right here. We can take it off with a pair of pliers, and we do have to lube it, so we're going to get a little bit of this fluid and run it around the ring right here, this O-ring. Lube that up because you do not want that to be dry and rip. So we'll run a little bit of that around the O-ring. So this is the filter, It is not directional. It looks the same all the way around, so just go straight up in there with it and push till you hear a click, like that. That little click means you just did the job. And the next step you're going to do is put the cover back on, which is in the oil here. That's going to be fun to get out. So I'm going to pause it for a second while I get that out of there. Alright, so we got everything back in there, out of the oil. And here's the plug. Now, when I got the plug out, something was missing. Right in this little channel right here, if you can see that, there's a little hole right there. That's where a magnet goes. The magnet is just laid in there loosely. This is the magnet. It's held in place by the 3 little pins in the middle of that filter, so don't forget your magnet. The magnet does catch oil and, it catches metal, as you can see. That's just from yesterday's oil change 50 miles ago. That's tiny bits of metal. So take a towel, wipe that thing clean. Once you get it all clean, you can put it back in the middle. One thing they did say to do was put a little bit of oil on the magnet so that it kind of sticks to the bottom of the plug while you're putting the plug back in. So I'm going to catch a little oil right there. We'll take the magnet and the plug and put the magnet right back inside of the plug. Sorry, my hands are kind of at an angle here. A little awkward, but drop that back in. Voila, that's ready to go. So now, all 3 of those holes are equally distanced apart. We're just going to stick them right back up on here. We'll clean this surface. Make sure it's not got any gunk or metal or anything like that. Magnets in, everything's ready to go. Just line up your holes and pop this right back in place like that. And it'll hold itself so that you can thread the 3 screws back in. Get them sitting right here by the phone. Make sure your screws are clean. Clean the threads real good. Thread the threads in, or thread them in by hand. Do not use a tool or a drill to thread them in, because if you booger them up, it's an aluminum transmission, and the screws are metal, and you can booger up the threads and strip out the threads. You do not want to do that. That would really suck. Just trust me. So thread them in by hand. If they get a little bit hard to turn, back them out, turn them in again, back them out, turn them in again. If there's any kind of harshness to them, like you feel it gritty or anything, just back them out and then turn forward again. It should spin in nice and easy. If not, spray some cleaner up in there and knock that crap out. Don't let it get in your threads and cause these to strip. That'll be a bad day. Get all 3 of these into place. It doesn't seem to want to go easily at all. Not sure why. Okay, that one's being a booger. Wonder why. Give this a bit of a turn. I think I probably just, yeah, it's just not right. That's all. It just needs to be moved over. There we go. So that cover just was on a little twisted. It wasn't letting that other screw thread in. So the other 2 a little loose. You can kind of turn a little bit as you need to. Get the 3 of them in there. Snug them up by hand. And then there's a torque setting in wick and width, which you can use. You just have to look it up. So I'm just going to go ahead and snug these up, and then I'll torque them later when I'm all done. But there we go. Alright, all 3 of them are tight. Wipe her down. When you're done, it's time to put some oil back in. Pause the video. Okay, now we're up on top here, and I've got exactly half a gallon, 2 quarts worth in this one, and I've got another 2 quarts or another gallon inside the car, so I'm gonna grab that too. Now I know from yesterday's experience that it took 1.5 gallons to fill her back up, so away we go. Now I just happen to have the right size funnel here that fits perfectly on the dipstick. Oh, tube. Here's the dipstick. Not a big fan of that dipstick. It's really hard to read. For now, we'll stick it right there. Now the funnel fits right in the tube perfectly. Jam it in there tightly so it doesn't leak, and fill her away. This will take a while, so I'm just going to show you a little bit. Now it's jammed nice and tight, but I'm still double checking to make sure it's not leaking. There's a vent. You can hear it whistling over there. Probably can't hear it on the camera, but I can hear it. So I'm going to go ahead and dump the fluid in, and then we'll proceed from there. So I'm going to pause it while I do that. Okay, I've put in almost all of it. Now I'm going to start the car up and check the level. All we have to do is start it up. Actually, at this point, I'm probably going to drive it a little bit because I put almost all of it in there, down to probably like 1/2 quart, less than enough. I'm going to drive it, get all the bubbles out, and then I'll check it again later and put that on the video as well. Okay, the drive is over with already. Put the last of the oil in that I needed to, and now we're going to check the dipstick. So the first thing I got to do, nice clean section here. Clean that thing off real good. So if you've got a 1988, it's going to be a little hard to read because of the fact that it's like a piece of spring. So right now it's clean. We'll run it on in there. Pull it out. And what you're looking for is looking for that nice slick surface. So I can get that to show. Yeah, we'll just do it like this. There you go. And you can see where it's red down low, and it's not quite red in the middle there, so I'm going to add a little bit more. But that area right there, right about there, that's the low, that's the high. So you want to be in there somewhere, and I'm at the bottom right now. I want to be more like middle, so everything's a little hard to focus in it. Doesn't want to focus. Huh. There, sorta. Still not focusing that great. There we go. So yeah, you want to be right in the middle there. And I'm actually a little dry right there in that middle area. Wet down below, so I might add a little bit more. And we'll be done. And it actually figures out to be exactly the 2 quarts that I was talking about, or the 1.5 gallon amount. Exactly. So dump the rest of that in there, because that line represents a quart high, quart low, if I remember right. And that should have us full at this point. We'll clean this off again. Interestingly enough, focus doesn't seem to want to stay. Alright, so clean that off. Get that out of there. Line it down. And double check it. It is perfect. Well, it's hard to see. Doesn't want to focus where that bag's going. Hang on. There we go. Still not the greatest. Let's try that. That's not bad. I can see it. It's a little hard for you guys to see it, but yeah, we're right at the top. So that's perfect. So that is it for this episode. I hope this helps you guys get your cars taken care of. Fear no projects, and keep these Saabs on the road. So I'm going to take this thing out and take a nice long drive to enjoy it. And if you liked this video, make sure and give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Click the bell icon and click all so that you get all of the stuff that I put out on the show. So you guys take it easy, have a great day, and keep them running. Fear no more projects.